Hey everybody, Mobile Gamers Unite here, FTC compliant vid for adults. Wicked character that just dropped in Last Cloudia. That's what we're going to talk about. Yeah, here he is right now. As you can see, Zouglas. He is wicked. He is malevolent. He is the bad man that you don't want to see. And that's Zouglas with his claymore that he wields like a dagger. Yeah, so where to start? Where to start is I pretty much stayed up till 7 a.m. to do a bunch of pulls over in Landgrisser. Cleared that banner in 100 pulls. Was super happy. And before I passed out, I was like, oh, let's see what's going on in Last Cloudia. And to my surprise, logged in there, and bam, they're like, oh, Zouglas is out. And I had no idea Zouglas was going to be out so soon. I've always said that I wanted to get Zouglas. I have a pretty good dark team. Dark element can be broken by 50%. You guys have already heard me talk about this. And I've always said, yeah, when Zuggy comes out, I'm going to get him. I'm going to do the Dougie. No. So I was like, yeah, here he is. He's finally here. Cool. Kind of surprising, right? I only had 3,000 crystals though, so I was like, crap, I don't know what to do. I might have to, skip this character because I got 3,000 lapis. He's up on a limited banner. It's only up for 5 more days. And I was like, well, you know what? I even thought about throwing some of my tickets. I do have, and it's a good thing I didn't do this. If I go to my tickets, I have like an SSR Gacha ticket and a unit ticket. And thank goodness I came to my senses before I threw any of those. Because Zouglas is not here. You cannot summon for Zouglas with tickets. Let me just double check that. Yeah, it should come up on the probability. There's Fal, Lena. Yeah, I don't see him here. I do not see him here. So that would have been just a giant waste of tickets, and thank goodness I did not do that. Alright? So I said, well, whatever. I might as well throw whatever lapis that I have. And I threw 110 pull for my 3,000 lapis. And Zouglas came down. I was very surprised. I didn't think it was going to happen like that. He is a 1% chance, so I just got lucky as hell. We also have Zouglas' sword that you can get from doing this. It's a paid summon. You do have to pay to do these summons. You have to purchase these crystals, and you will summon for this hero, and along the way, you will get hero credentials. Alright, and actually let's check the probability. I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's still a 1% rate. So, you got to get 50 of these hero credentials, and then you can cash those in for Zouglas' blade. It's just like Davin. Davin had his badass earth axe. And I did get that because I actually had to pull for Davin. So it worked out pretty well. Let's see. I don't know how crucial this guy's sword is to him. Here it is. 135 attack, right? It's Zouglas' sword. And he glows red when it's equipped. It tells you right there. It's going to do 135 dark damage, and he's going to glow red. So that's pretty cool. The thing is, all of Zouglas' attacks, all of his skills, they all do dark damage. And he can apply dark attack rise to all that, or whatever it's called. So he's going to be able to augment that damage, and all of his skills, all of his abilities, all of his attacks already have dark to them. So, depending on what you're up against, you might not want to take a dark elemental weapon, because what if you run into a mob or something that has like 80% dark resistance. Well, then you're not going to be able to scratch it with anything, really. At least right now, this Zouglas is just using some basic sword. It's not even all that powerful. We can see what he's equipped with. But if something is impervious to dark damage, I can just go and use his basic attack, right? Because, you know, the sword I have equipped is not dark element. So that's what I'm going to have to do for now. If I did have a sword, don't get me wrong, I would equip it. But yeah, I'm actually using a golden sword. It's a lot different than his red sword. I just put the mithril armor. I have the Imperial Army shield on him. And actually, what he's missing, the warning bell. I'm going to put the warning bell on him because first thing I'm going to say about Zouglas, Zuggy as I like to call him, is this guy is really, really tanky. And you definitely want to take advantage of that. The more I looked into this character, like the more I realized this guy really is like half tank. As a matter of fact, this is one of those characters that you will not be putting dual wield on. Here it is, the Bell of Warning. I had that on Maddie. Most damage characters, I mean, you're instantly going to go for dual wield as soon as you possibly can. It just augments their damage so much. But there's a price to pay for that. You don't get to wear armor. And if we actually look at Zuggy's ability tree, Zuggy gets quite a few of these abilities that only work if he's wearing armor. Let's see. We have Stance of Dusk. This is Guard. When Guard is equipped, halves the damage of fire, ice, earth, thunder, and dark attribute attacks. That's huge. That is. And you have to have Guard equipped for that. You can get away with this without armor. Let's see. But he does have... Where is it? We'll go through all these in a sec. But okay, this is Shadow Sword. When a sword is equipped, dark physical attack damage plus 40%. That's pretty big. You definitely want this guy to wield a sword, right? I mean, or a claymore, whatever you got, right? Soul, Induction, wide long range attack combo attack. That thing's pretty cool. That's actually, I think my favorite one is Gia Buster. That one's sweet. It's just like out of the boss fight. He pretty much just he swings a sword down, and it's like he parts the seas with it. Like it's gonna hit everybody in a straight line, and I thought that was sweet. But where is... And of course he gets sword boost in here, right? When sword is equipped, physical attack plus 10%. Cool. But he does have a lot of defensive abilities. I'm looking for it right now. There's so much to cover. Oh, here we go. We have armor high boost. When armor is equipped, defense plus 20%. And damage taken from bosses minus 20%. This is huge right here, everybody. This is effing huge. Let me explain why. This whole when armor is equipped, defense plus 20%, take it from somebody that has actually pretty much ran the gauntlet in this game with tanks. Like, I have benchmarks for Blood Rose, for Maddie. 20% more defense is a big effing deal. For Maddie to get 20% more defense, she has to completely drain her magic point pool. And this guy just gets it, right? Like, as long as he's wearing armor, he's just going to get that 20%. And I've actually seen how big of a difference that 20% can make, especially fighting a giant boss. I was able to run Maddie through there, and I was seeing the damage that Maddie was taking, and then I would empty her MP pool, and then when she would get that 20% more armor, she would substantially take a lot less damage. Okay, so you know, that kind of, at least enough to leave an impression on me. So then the second half of this is damage taken from bosses minus 20%. That's effing huge. This guy has damage reduction, right? And it's only with bosses, but like that's really what you're gonna want it for, okay? Now, granted, Lance Evil is going to have him be in the damage reduction department because Lance Evil just gets damage reduction, which is going to apply to everything, whether it's mobs or bosses, okay? Lance Evil also gets to actually increase his guard chance, which is huge because there are so many abilities that can proc off of guard. The fact that Lance Evil is more likely to proc guard in the first place means that he's more likely to proc all of those abilities that go with guard. And this guy does have a bunch of abilities that go off of guard over here. We'll look at them in a second. The important thing is they're free. He doesn't have to pay for them, so it works out really well for him. Okay, but damage reduction is huge. I can't stress that enough. Maddie does not get any damage reduction. Maddie only gets the 20% defense bonus, and that pretty much is what you have to build her whole tank build around. Yeah, with Maddie you kind of have to choose whether you want to build a tanky Maddie that's actually going to use the abilities in her kit, which are awesome and have amazing crowd control, or you're going to build her as a green mage, and unfortunately 2/3 of Maddie's ability tree, all of the high-end abilities, most of them, are designed to increase her magic damage with a spear in her hand. Well, earth magic damage with a spear in her hand. If you want to actually build her tanky, you only really have a handful of abilities that she gets to work with. So after all the benchmarking that I've done, as far as all the tanks go, Maddie is kind of towards the bottom of that list on the tank spectrum, but she is still a usable tank. She was able to clear pretty much everything that my Blood Rose benchmarked. Now, she didn't clear it as good as him, but it's important to note that that's only... I feel like a tank class for Maddie is like a subclass for her. Because, if you go that way, you're pretty much throwing away a lot of abilities in her tree that she would get for free. Anyway, so for this guy though, this ability is amazing, and this is the reason why you're not going to be using dual wield with him. Dual wield, it's great and all, but it's just not worth it to take the armor off of this guy because of the extra armor you're getting and the damage reduction. On a side note though, Keen Eyes. I will be putting Keen Eyes on this guy so that he can use his magic points and convert them to damage. I think what does it do? Every time every time you use a skill or something, it's going to drain 3% of your magic points, and it's going to give you additional damage. So that's what I'm going to be aiming for here. I did pull that SSR arc, Foreign Land, I forget what it's called, Magnolia? No, Magnolia is a project. Well, anyway, I did pull that arc the same day. It was kind of funny. I got Zouglas, started running the event, and with the event tickets that I got, I actually pulled the SSR arc. Oh, that's funny. That's right. I've been saving up those points. I have almost 300 of them, and I was going to actually pity purchase that arc. Now I just reminded myself that I have almost 300 points to spend. Yeah, I'm gonna do that as soon as I'm done with this. So let's look at some of his other nifty stuff. But definitely Sharp Eyes, Keen Eyes, whatever it's called. I think it is Sharp Eyes. That's what I'm going to be going for next on this character, just so he can take some of that MP and turn it into, well, damage, right? We looked at Stance of Dusk. This is just amazing. It's going to half your Fire, Earth, Thunder, and Dark damage, right? So this guy's just going to be awesome against any of those elements, pretty much anything except for light. And obviously if you're fighting a light dragon, you're not going to take this guy there. What's his other one? This is one of his moves, Soul Induction. Here we go. We looked at Shadow Sword. This is a nice 40% boost to, physical attack damage when you have a sword. And obviously he has a lesser form of that up here with just sword boost. So between this one and the other one, that's 50%. You're getting 10% from this. You're getting 40% from this with a sword in your hand. Effectively, he's going to do 50% more damage with the sword. That is awesome. He's going to get Dark Attack Rise in here, so this works out very well because all of his abilities, they're dark abilities. Everything other than his basic attack is going to be dark damage, and if you do get his sword, then his basic attacks, they're dark damage as well. Or maybe you can find another dark sword to equip this guy. I didn't have one. I don't know if there's one available right now. If anybody wants to leave a comment. If not, I'm just going to have to wait till the game presents me with some badass dark sword, and this is the guy that's going to get it. But as far as defensive abilities go, let's just go through those real quick. He's going to get Guard Impact. When Guard is equipped, a probability to make nearby enemies flinch when guarding. This is cool. I definitely like this. This is the first time I've seen this. Maybe I've missed it. He gets Defense Up Max. Cool. We looked at the Armor High Boost. He's going to get some HP up 3. Very nice. He's going to get Vigilance. And he's going to get Guard. So right there's a lot of good defensive stuff, but it doesn't stop there. He also gets Steel Guard. When Guard is equipped, damage while guarding is reduced. This is very nice when you're actually guarding against a big boss attack. It's going to mitigate that damage even more. Very nice to have. And then he's also going to get Grand Guard. Guard break is less likely to occur. So this guy is going to be guarding and protecting himself. It's pretty cool. Then we have Guard Charge down here. And see, this is why this character really kind of starts looking like a tank, because even down here we have physical tank and guard abilities. So that is really cool. Let's see. Household of Ruin. I absolutely love this. It adds God type to him, so he does count as a god, which is the most expensive killer to take with you. You do have to pay 1 more SC to use God Killer, so that's kind of cool. Not only does this make you as a god type, but dark attacks from enemies minus 20%. This is obviously going to stack with the other ability that lets you only take half dark damage, so this guy's really not going to be getting scratched at all with dark, and that's kind of what you would expect from Zouglas. So other than that, we can start. We went through these. Sword boost. Shrouded Blade. This is a good one. The less hit points the enemy has, the more dark attribute attacks will do. You can get an extra plus 50% damage with your dark attribute attacks, which all of his attacks are. This is really awesome for fighting a boss and breaking through that last threshold. When you get a boss down to like 30% hit points and they just start going batshit crazy, well, Zouglas is prepared for that, because the lower the boss's health gets, the more damage he does. So when it comes time to really punch through that threshold, this is the guy for the job. He's going to be able to do it. So that's very nice. I'm glad they gave him Shrouded Blade. Let's see. There's so much good stuff in his kit. What is this? Gravity Drive. That's one of his attacks. Very good stuff. Did we look at this one? Yep, that's his AoE. I think that's his S3 ability. And we get Ale of Victory. Recovers 20% hit points at the end of battle. Cool. And yeah, this guy does have a pretty massive hit point pool. I've noticed that already. He definitely definitely is part tank. That's all I'm going to say. And I think that's pretty much, we've covered everything. Like, he does have, advanced magic circles that I haven't even gotten, and Abyss Gate, which I'm not even going to get because, like I said, with Sharp Eyes or Keen Eyes, whatever it's called, I'm going to be using his magic point pool to increase, his damage with his attacks. So I'm not going to be using magic points to cast spells. I'm just not going to do that with this guy. We went through Household of Ruin. So all in all, though, a lot of tanky abilities. He's got some stuff to increase, damage with a sword, which is what he's going to be using. And he has Dark Attack Rise, so he's going to augment all of that dark damage that he does. Very good stuff. I'm very happy with this character. And I'll show you guys the levels that I've been running with him. I haven't been able, obviously, to unlock these best abilities because I have to go through and do all of the stories with this guy. I only have 5 of his soul shards, so that's not going to happen, and I did want to get something out there on this character because he is just wicked awesome. Alright, so here's the summary of my Zouglas. He's at 4.5k, he's got 30 MP. His strength is only 719 right now, defense 985 though. That's important. His defense is high. That's awesome. You'll see how nifty that is. And he has 357 mind. Here's the thing, he doesn't really need that much mind because of all of the well, he doesn't have resistance, but as we just went through his ability tree, you guys saw that he's going to only take half of fire, ice, lightning, and dark damage. So that's going to cut down on a lot of magic damage that he's going to take. So he doesn't really need that high of a mind stat in order to shrug off a lot of magic damage. I think that's really cool, especially if it's coming from a boss, because remember, he does get 20% damage reduction on bosses. So awesome. And obviously his high armor, it reflects the extra 20% defense that he has, because this guy doesn't exactly have the best equipment on, and I have mediocre equipment on him because, like I said, I've been benchmarking, and I'll run through that level just so you guys can actually see all of his moves. So speaking of moves, we have Gravity Drive, some medium area front dark combo attack, pulls enemies towards unit. So this is nice because he can group a bunch of enemies up together in this gravity hole that he makes, and then he can pretty much just cleave them all down with his dark sword. Gia Buster, this is probably my favorite one. Pretty much his sword just like quadruples in size, and he slams it down on the ground, and like I said, he pretty much like parts the seas with that thing. He can hit everybody, pretty much everybody on the screen in a straight line. You guys will see it, but it's definitely one of my favorite attacks that he does. I remember fighting Zouglas the first time and seeing him do that and just bitch smack my whole party. It was crazy. I was like, man, when that guy drops, I hope that's really in his kit. I hope this isn't some fake boss move that they just, yeah. Turns out it's not. He actually has this thing. And then we have Soul Induction. This is a wide area, long range, dark combo attack. This is like, well, swords come out of the ground, and they throw everybody up in the air, and they hurt everybody a lot. This is a great crowd control move. So is Gravity Drive. Gravity Drive is really good at just getting a bunch of mobs, getting them together, and then obviously he can just finish them off by cleaving them to death with his giant sword. And then we have Dark Dimension. Interestingly enough, I did notice this guy's super skill, it does charge up pretty quick. I just got done running Foul. Foul's super skill does not charge as fast as this guy's does. I don't know what the reason is for that, but I consistently ran the same level. I would get to the very end, and there were plenty of times where I ran with Foul where I couldn't get her S4 fully charged at the boss fight in the end. It just took too long to charge. This guy will get his S4 charged before I even get to the boss a lot of times. So pretty cool. And obviously the only trait that I have on him right now is the Shrouded Blade, which obviously the less hit points the enemy has, the more damage he does. He comes with that. Very good stuff, but I really hope to add to this list soon. And yeah, I did manage to get him 83 out of 104 of his abilities unlocked, because I did have some gems sitting around with this whole Landgrisser thing, with my guild and everything. I've been putting a lot of time into that game, and really, I've just been running Last Cloudia. I've just been logging in and just trying to clear out my orbs and events every day. And it's pretty much been slow motion, but I've still managed to accumulate plenty of crystals. It's one of my favorite things about this game, is really it's minimal investment. You can kind of just coast, and then when you want to get back into it, bam, it's there for you, right? Okay. So, that being said, let's actually take this bad mamma jamma for a test drive. Alright, I went through his equipment. I did put that guard bell on, so hopefully we can see his guard proc, because he does get a lot of nifty guard abilities, and they definitely go a long way. So all of the testing that I do is at what is it, the White Laboratory? Yeah, why not? Let's do our testing at the lab. And I do run it on hard. It is a 7 red star difficulty map. The one I run is White Alabaster. And part of the reason this is such a good run for him is because the boss at the end, the big nasty ogre, he actually has 50% dark resistance. So, yeah. Even though that's the case, this boy still does great. Let's get into it. It was also nice of Last Cloudia to give us, like, I don't know, it was like almost 200 of the mother shards. I don't know why we got those. I didn't read. I just saw them and clicked claim, and it was like, cool. And then I just dumped them all on Zouglas. So my Zouglas does have like 47 SC, but I only have 20 of them filled up. And part of the reason I did that is, well, I haven't taught him all the rest of the abilities that I want to put on him, like Sharp Eyes. But every other character that I've ran through here, I've only ran them with 20 SC on them. So I figure that's fair. So we'll start with his basic attack. It's fast, and it has a large range. Like, yeah, this attack speed is a lot higher than Davin's, obviously. Davin's using an axe. Their range with their basic attack is pretty similar. So we'll try Gravity Drive here. Bam. Sucks everybody up into a hole. Does great damage to them. Next we will try Gia Buster, my favorite one. I have an ability that gives him one of his skills. There we go, we got Gia Buster. Oh, and here's the ogre. The ogre that has, yeah, he has 50% dark resistance. So, you know, if it wasn't for that, he'd be dead twice as quick. Can we get guard to proc? Not yet. Impact, Beast Killer. So yeah, Zouglas can pretty much just stand here and pretty much kill this guy with basic attacks. Oh, here's his soul induction. This is where all the claymores come out of the ground, and as you can see, his dark dimension is fully charged before we even got to the ogre, I think. So that's nice. That big AoE, it knocks people up in there. There he goes guarding and guard charge procced. That's nice to see. Especially against bosses like this. And here we will top it off with his super skill. This thing, Dark Dimension, it's kind of like a dark shining Zoc. It's pretty cool. It's going to hit everybody. It's not going to do that much damage to him because of the dark resistance he has, but it was still obviously enough to kill this big bad ogre. And obviously this wasn't even a challenge for him, right? Like, let's go try running something hard. You know what, since we're already at the White Lab, I think there is a level that's a little bit harder than this one. If it ever loads. I mean, there we go. There we go. But yeah, that's pretty much a cakewalk for Zouglas. And this is a 7 red star difficulty. I gotta say, the other units that I benchmarked at this level, they did not walk through it like Zouglas did. Which is surprising because Zouglas is not that effective against the boss at the end. Being that the boss has 50% dark resistance. So, I mean, Zouglas is pretty damn gnarly, according to all of my benchmarks. And generally, my Discord channel agrees. Everybody that got Zouglas is very happy with him. I would also like to mention that as soon as this patch dropped, everybody in my Discord pulled an SSR somehow. It's crazy, like just all at the same time. Alright, let's see. We got Spirited Assault. Let's try that one. And of course, we will be running a solo Zouglas. Zuggy. Alright. I haven't ran this one in a while. I usually stick to White Alabaster because I know what to expect there, and I'm looking for numbers to change as I add or take gear away, and I'm familiar with all of the numbers, especially with that big boss at the end. I like fighting that ogre. He's a good test for a tank. You might have a unit that you think is kind of tanky because they can take some mob hits, but then when you put that unit in front of a boss and the boss is hitting for 700-800 damage a hit, it becomes a little bit different. So what do we got here? We got some robots. We got some knights. Zouglas is a knight up until you unlock that ability that lets him count as a god. So, and my Zuggy is blind right now. So obviously, we're going to be taking a lot of swings. But you know what? There we go. You can't blind a black hole. Oh, I do like the robots in Last Cloudia. They have some pretty good crowd control. Like, I've gotten into a couple skirmishes where, man, they just keep you bouncing all over the place with those missiles. Alright, Gia Buster. Bam! Hit all of them. I love that. That thing is so sweet. Great. And as you can see, Dark Dimension is already more than halfway charged. And we're already at the boss. Okay, there's only 3 waves here. Alright, so this is just a couple mages and a machine. Nothing too special here. I think we're just gonna bust right through this. Just gonna use our black hole a couple of times. Oh, they managed to get off a spell. But was it enough? Oh, that's right. So this is good too, right? Because these TR risings, they have 50% resistance to everything except for lightning. So, this isn't a bad little boss to test him up against either, because I mean, this boss is going to be resilient to the damage that he's doing. Because if not, then the boss would be dead already, right? I mean, he's at half health and he's pretty much negating half the damage. So all in all, not too bad. Let's see if we can finish him with this. Zouglas in his dark dimension. Also, I gotta say, man, Zouglas' little event here that they gave us really pulled me back into this game. I absolutely love how that his little event plays out, and pretty much, I don't want to spoil anything for anybody if you guys haven't had a chance to run it yet. It pretty much shows a lot of the heroes that Zouglas has had to slay, and it implies a lot of things, like Zouglas has killed a lot of heroes, right? What's his name? Gavin? Definitely got killed by Zouglas. Even Shin was there. So I don't know if at some point in time Zouglas killed Shin. I don't know. They don't exactly show it, but they imply it. So it's pretty dark. It's pretty twisted. It's definitely not Walt Disney, and I absolutely love it for that. And the way that they tell his little story is awesome. I love the camera angles on it and just the way that it plays out. Definitely awesome. I'm looking forward to more good stuff like that from Last Cloudia. I honestly think they should get some major props for setting this event up. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about, just in case you don't know. But I thought it was overall just excellent. And, you know, Zouglas is kind of, well, he's an interesting character to me. I can't wait to actually play through his story missions and kind of try to figure out how Zouglas actually turned into Zouglas. Here it is. Fragments of Hero. Right here. This thing is just awesome. If you haven't had a chance to play this, or if you've been blowing it off, give this thing a shot. It is super sweet. You play through all these. Remember to cast your magic spell. I obviously forgot to do that. Then when you get into the hard ones, this is where all the good stuff happens. You guys will see, most definitely. But Zouglas is just a bad man. He is completely ruthless. He's slaughtering people. You know, I didn't expect all that. But I definitely enjoyed all that. So, and obviously we have the training dungeon. This helped level up Zouglas a lot. Since I only had 3,000 lapis and I spent that summoning Zouglas, I obviously did not have the luxuries that I did with Davin. The only thing I managed to purchase with my crystals that I really thought was a good deal, this soul gain booster. Like, I will advocate for this. This is totally worth it. The soul gain booster. For 500 lapis, this is going to help you make a huge dent in the game. It's going to help you level up your arcs. Energy is super expensive. Like, you cannot afford it. Like, they want so much lapis to replenish energy. If you try to level up an arc and say you're 5,000 blue energy short, it will ask you if you want to pay like 10,000 lapis for that 5,000 energy. So energy isn't something that you want to be buying with lapis. It's just, yeah, they purposely outprice it because they don't want people to do that. So the best thing we can do is spend 500 lapis, and this doubles the amount of souls that you get from your little soul wells. So when we had Davin drop, I definitely used this experience gain booster, and I got an AP gain booster for Davin, and that helped me level him up. I tried these things out. Am I doing this with Zouglas? No, I don't really feel like I need to. I mean, let's see, I've had him for a day. I did have like 20 experience potions that I threw on him as well, but they weren't big potions. But I got Zouglas to level 58 in one day, just running what they have for us to run. I didn't boost anything about him. He's not getting double experience or anything. And obviously I had pretty much the gems to unlock most of his tree here. I'm just going to go through now and get all of his best abilities, and he's just going to be wicked awesome. So, but like I said, I have to go through all the story to do that. And other than that, his equipment can be upgraded quite a bit. Like, other than the golden sword, I have mithril armor on him, the Imperial Army shield, and the Bell of Warning. There's a lot better gear that I can put on this guy. But really, I wanted to mess around with the Bell of Warning and the Army shield just so I could see how much I could get his guard to proc. Yeah, again, he's never going to guard as much as, I almost said Leonhardt, wrong game. He's never going to guard as much as Lance Evil. But, if I recall correctly, I don't have Lance Evil, so if I'm mistaken about something, somebody please correct me. But from my understanding, Lance Evil cannot use killers. This guy can most definitely use killers. And because he's not going to be getting weighed down by dual wield, which is a 14 skill cost skill, because it really just, it's not worth putting dual wield on him because of the armor you're giving up. Instead, he's going to bring a bunch of killers and slayers, sharp eyes, keen eyes, whichever, I think it is sharp eyes. Yeah, it's sharp eyes. So I think things like that are going to take dual wield's place, and I think it's going to serve him very well. And when it's all said and done, you are going to have a super tanky character that can stand in front of a boss, take some of those hits, and do a ton of dark damage. We do have characters that can break dark, so that works out very well. I'm going to be running this guy with Blood Rose, because Blood Rose can break dark by 20% just by getting a crit. Also Lena. Summoner Lena, she doesn't have to get a crit. She can just cast one of her spells, and boom, your dark resistance is broken by 20%. It does stack with Blood Roses, so you can get 40% off of that. And then you just have somebody cast Weaken, and Weaken is another 10%. So then the enemy has minus 50% dark resistance, and then this guy just shreds, because everything he does is an F-ton of dark damage. So I really can't wait. I also think it's going to be a very tanky party, right? Because you have Blood Rose with his super high hit point pool, and then you got this guy who's got a lot of hit points too, and he's got a super high defense. My level 80 Blood Rose does not have 985 defense. No way. And this guy's only level 58 with some half-ass gear on him. So, hitting this guy is probably a step short from hitting Lance Evil. And Lance Evil is the best tank in the game. He's made for tanking, and that's why he can't use killers, because it would just be too much. Or maybe it was slayers, regardless. So that's where I rate Dougie on the tank list. Man, he's towards the top of it. He's going to be underneath Lance Evil, because Lance Evil can actually augment his percent to guard, and that triggers all of these other awesome guard abilities that are tied into that. So, but this guy is definitely going to out damage Lance Evil, and he's going to look a hell of a lot cooler doing it too. So I am definitely happy with this character. I'm definitely happy that I got lucky as hell and pulled him. Now, as far as the sword goes, I don't know if I can justify it, guys. I really don't. The SSR arc that is on the banner with this guy, you might think that this arc, this Divine Beast arc, is beneficial to him, but really this arc, I think the best ability on it is it augments light damage. So kind of misleading there. I don't know, I don't have the thing to look at, but when I did look it up online, this is something that you're going to want for units that do light damage. At least that's what I remember taking away from it. So that's pretty much what I have to say about this banner, this event. I'm happy with it. Guys, check it out. Try this thing out, and for those that are faint of heart, I will give you a warning. His little event is pretty brutal. There's no Mickey Mouse crap going on there. So just FYI, I mean, this guy is standing on a pile of carnage. I mean, what are these things? Yeah, I don't know. They're just a bunch of skeletons. So, get out there, enjoy this event, guys, and I will see you out there. Mobile Gamers Unite. Peace, everybody. Have a good night. And if you didn't pull Zouglas yet, you still got 5 days, everybody. Don't stress. Peace. Peace and love.